everyone, and welcome to another episode of Offsides, your favorite podcast for everything NFL and NHL. NFL season officially wrapped up yesterday with the Super Bowl. Diving into that right away here. Rams get the win 23-20. I know I picked the Rams to win. You had picked the Bengals. I guess I'll start with your side as far as what you saw from this game out of Joe Burrow, the things that went wrong for this game, and then obviously for the future of this team and what they need to do to get back to this game.
I feel like it all starts with their offensive line needing to get better. That's going to be the first thing. Getting sacked 7 times, 6 times in the second half alone. When you are in the lead, not being able to control the clock, keeping the ball moving down the field, having to turn it back over. It's not a good look when you do have the lead with 5 minutes to go in the Super Bowl. Also, whoever their offensive coordinator play calling, I do believe that's Zach Taylor's duties. He's got to sharpen up in the end there. I know they ran the ball on first down. They got it down to a 2nd and 3. Tried to throw the ball, ended up getting sacked, got put into then Aaron Donald stopped him with one arm on the next play, causing that a 4th down where they ended up having to punt the ball. That drive right there could have been the game ender. And then going back to the last play of the game, Jamar Chase wide open down the field, burnt Jalen Ramsey, obviously not having enough time because that line couldn't get there. And what a hell of a play by the Rams linebacker to hop in and cover the slant route that he was looking to hit. And one of the coulda, woulda, shouldas, we'll never know, is if Joe Burrow wouldn't have hurt his knee, would he have been able to scramble like he did his last drive against Kansas City to dink and dank him down the field, because he is an athlete.
Yeah.
Definitely they have a lot of upside for this team. They have a lot of young guys who are wanting to stay together. They brought in the right pieces. Eli Apple, it's hilarious how much criticism he's taking online, especially like he must talk so much shit to everyone from the onslaught of NFL players, former people just chirping him online. That's kind of been a funny thing to watch today. But yeah, I mean, either way, wasn't going to be disappointed with whoever won this game. Matt Stafford, I feel like now cements his legacy to get to Canton by getting that W.
Yeah. I mean, and on that last play of the drive too for the Bengals on that 4th and 1, Burrow, I mean, he got that ball off and you watch it, P. Ryan, the running back, it lands at his feet and he just watches it. Like there's no effort where it's like season's on the line, you're in the Super Bowl, the ball lands at your feet, no effort to catch it, no jumping for it, laying out. Like just watching that play slow down. It's like Burrow shouldn't have got that ball off at all. And the fact that he got it to a guy's feet, wide open, next closest guy, he catches that ball, he's running for another 10, 20 yards, maybe for a touchdown, just with like looking at the lane that opened behind him there. And yeah, as you mentioned, Jamar Chase burning Jalen Ramsey, had him on the ground. If Burrow is able to escape, maybe roll out, he sees that. That's a game-winning touchdown right there for the Bengals. And then on the Rams side, as you mentioned, Stafford does enough, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. As we talked about kind of leading up into that game this week is, okay, Stafford's known for his interceptions. If he throws interceptions, like how detrimental are they going to be? And looking at it, it's not showing it. Did they? I don't think the Bengals got any points off turnovers, did they? Off of either
3. They got 3 off the second.
Oh yeah, the one because they were in the field goal range to start. Yeah, and that's. I remember we were talking during the game. If Rams can hold them to 3, that's huge, and they did. So yeah, 2 turnovers in the game, both by the Rams. You allow only 3 points off of that. I mean possession, like they're within a minute, so like that. It wasn't like one team controlled the ball the whole time. I mean, early it seemed like the Rams kind of ran away with it a little bit and they were in full control. But then as we know from previous games in the season and obviously in the playoffs with the Bengals mounting their comebacks, I mean, they're damn near even across the board. I didn't realize this until looking at it now. Um, Bengals had 5 yards per play, Rams had 4.7. Both had 13 drives, total yards 313 to 305. Like, it was a great game to watch. And I mean, the 3-point game, you always like to see close games like that in the Super Bowl. Um, but yeah, and then I mean the other question marks for the Rams. Stafford, no signs pointing to him retiring, but I mean, you get your Super Bowl, you're 12 years in now. I know the big talk before the game, Rodney Harrison sat down with Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald hinted towards the off seasons being like achy and like his body's like getting more and more beat up every year. If he's able to get his ring here, there's a strong possibility that he hangs it up. So that's going to be an interesting um, point to look at in the next couple of weeks here, or if it's something that's closer to training camp where he gets to that point and maybe once he gets to those first OTAs, those first meetings with the team, his body doesn't feel 100%. Maybe he calls it then. But I'd imagine, at least for the time being, at least for till March, they're just gonna. They got parades. They got all this stuff to enjoy the Super Bowl win. Um, OBJ as well. That's another name. It looks like ACL injury in the game. Who knows if he hangs it up? He got his first ring finally. Von Miller too, another guy got his second ring. He's getting older. Like, this Rams team could look very different next year depending on the route that their key playmakers go. The only one that seems like he'd be a for sure stay would be Cooper Kupp, so long as they can afford him and he's not looking to get paid. I don't know what his contract looks like for next year, but
Yeah, what I heard coming out of this game is, like you said, Aaron Donald having the potential to be walking away. I see him staying if they can keep the core group of these guys together. Rumors have it that they're working on a 4-year extension for Von Miller, for OBJ, and for Stafford currently at the moment, to try to keep this core group of guys together for an extended run here, as they're trying to do what Tampa did. And I feel like that's a perfect setup into my question here. With it looking like quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks who are good, seeing a team with at least 85% of what they need to get to a Super Bowl if they step in there, and need maybe one or two more pieces like the Rams added OBJ and Von Miller, kind of like how the Bucks added AB last year and a couple other, and Fournette. Like, does this seem like it's the new meta, as it's worked out 3 times of the last 3 guys that's tried it? Peyton Manning goes to Denver, wins a Super Bowl. Tom Brady goes down to Tampa, wins a Super Bowl. And now Matt Stafford goes out to LA and wins a Super Bowl. Do you think this is kind of going to be the new, I guess, meta, as rumors are now circulating that Tampa Bay is the front runner to go get Russell Wilson?
yeah, I mean, it's been cool to see those couple teams like that the past few years. Haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time. Like the Broncos hadn't won since '97 when Manning went and won it there. And then obviously Tampa hadn't won it since 01, 02. And then the Rams, this is only their second Super Bowl in franchise history. Yeah, it's cool to see these teams that are just that one piece away. It's interesting that usually it's like, oh, we need a better running back, a couple better linebackers, a better cornerback, positions that are easier to fill. It's interesting that there's these teams like the Rams who you look at them last year, the last couple of years, even when they made it to the Super Bowl 4 years ago, of wow, this team is a really good quarterback away. But looking at the market at the time, there wasn't really anybody that came available aside from, I mean, Tom last year, and then I'm trying to think. Oh, Cam Newton, like kind of another name that circulated as far as moving around the league. But yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say these are rare cases, because now this is the 3rd time it's happened in the last decade. But yeah, I mean, I think as you mentioned, as far as kind of putting the word meta on it, I think it's going to become more and more frequent that we see a team, all right, they're a better quarterback away from making a Super Bowl run. Who's available? Who doesn't have a ring? Who's looking to cement their legacy? Who might only have 1 or 2 years left in the tank that wants to go to a team to try to win themselves a Super Bowl? And I mean, Tampa, as you mentioned, for Russell Wilson, could be definitely a destination for him to go there. Uh, Again, still a great defense. Couple things to sort out there in their secondary that kind of fell apart in the end. Other than that, you got Fournette, you got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller. Like you got solid receivers in Tampa. Fournette, as long as he stays healthy, and then that offensive line too that they built for Tom to protect him. Um, yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson could be the next guy to jump on this vet, finds a new team, wins a Super Bowl kind of run here.
Because it also seems like the teams that have done this say fuck the future, we're winning now, get rid of our draft. Like look at the Rams, the Broncos when they went and got Peyton. That's first round draft picks, multiple of them going. Saying fuck the future, we don't know. Instead of gambling, we're going to take what we for sure do know.
Yep.
And I feel like that is I feel like the NFL is going to start turning towards that, where teams aren't going to value their draft picks as much unless it is the franchise quarterback, like the guy coming out of college. But even that, as we're seeing from Trevor Lawrence, the guy who's never fucking lost a game until he got to the NFL, doesn't translate that easy.
No. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, there's a couple again. Last offseason talks were Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Same thing this offseason. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Add Aaron Donald to that conversation. Tom Brady's still there as he's kind of the podcasts or media that he's talked to. Yes, he made his decision to retire, but he said, I don't know how I'm going to feel 6 weeks, like a couple months down the road, if he wants to come back. So that could be a name that jumps back into the conversation of where does he go?
And that's funny too. He never actually said the words retiring in all of his statements that he said. He's never said that one word, I'm retired. He just said, I'm no longer employed with the NFL. I don't see that going. Like, he's leaving the doors wide open for him to be able to come right back without crossing too much of his words, being like, I'm done forever. Oh, and then I'm coming back. I really do see him. I see him, honestly, in a San Francisco 49er uniform.
Yeah, because that's a place he wanted to go.
That's where he grew up.
Yeah.
Just like A-Rod.
Yeah.
Who also is quarterback away.
Yeah. So now Tom Brady goes there or Rodgers or whatever.
So I've heard that Jimmy G is going to be going to Denver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the door's open for Jimmy G to go to a couple places. I mean
he's earned a starting job again.
Yeah. Denver, New York, Carolina,
Houston.
Yeah.
Fuck. There was also Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to go get Deshaun Watson. I've heard. I've seen that they're full go if they can get him, if he's getting through all this stuff, that they're going to try to get him as their guy.
Yeah, that could be a good fit. Yeah, obviously that's still that got super quiet towards the end of the season, and as far as post trade deadline, you can't move him anymore, so everybody stopped talking about him. Like as far as I don't even know where he's at in his legal battle. Is it going to be a whole nother year? Is it going to be taken care of this off season? It's still funny how, like, if a team wanted him, they could pick him up, but then they take that risk of he just gets put on the exempt list right away. Like, like I'm sure teams are just itching the NFL to, hey, what are you going to do with him? Like, if he passes his shit, what happens to him? If he's still stuck in it, what like what's his availability? I think there's a couple teams that are. I know Miami. Miami was a team that Miami and Philly were the two teams that kind of circulated and got brought back up throughout the early parts of the season. Of oh, they're interested. Oh no, they felt. Oh no, they're interested again. Like I'm sure that they would say, okay, we're closing the door on this for sure, or we're one phone call away from this happening. But as I said, like nobody knows exactly what's going on with him.
Because Lovie Smith did say that he's going to make a move with him. He's not going to keep him on the team.
Oh,
So at some point he will get moved. It's just when and where.
yeah.
Because I've also seen Washington football team, or the Commanders now, also potential destination for Deshaun Watson. And with this whole, I forgot to mention that, like with Tampa being the front runners for Russell Wilson, that's all pending if Tom's coming back or not. Because they're going to wait to the last absolute second, as I feel he's kind of got the NFL world by the balls, almost. Tom does.
Yeah.
You don't want to sign a guy and then all of a sudden Tom's like, I'm coming back and I wanted to play for your team, but you already made like no one wants to be the team to sign a guy and then say, oh, fuck, we could add Tom.
But at the same time, you need to make a decision and not let a guy control, like, you know what I mean? The longer you wait and hold out, oh, he stays retired. Oh, fuck. Now we're 2 months behind the curve because we decided to wait for him. Now our whole season's shot because we have a fourth string quarterback that's now going to be leading our team because we were banking on getting him. You don't want to be that team either.
Yeah,
And I'd
where
rather
the
be the
Bucks are
team.
at this point with 29 of their 31 starters being free agents. They have to re-sign all those guys. So it's like they're going to be structuring their deals in order to keep the room open for Tom. And that's what I meant. Not like waiting to sign guys, but structuring these guys' deals to keep the room open for Tom.
Yeah. Because I mean, their backup is Kyle Trask, right? They just drafted him this past year. He'd be the next in line for Tampa.
Yes.
Or Blaine Gabbert. Actually, it's Blaine Gabbert and then Trask.
I'd give Trask the nod.
Yeah.
Gabbert's kind of proven himself in the NFL as he stinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trask, I don't think he's played since coming out of college for Florida.
No, I'd imagine in preseason he got snaps, but that's about it. But yeah, kind of going into the last point here, then for the NFL, was kind of a trending thing during the Super Bowl yesterday. Adam Schefter reported about Kyler Murray, kind of the relationship becoming a stink between him and the Cardinals, or the organization, players, just some sources within the organization describe Murray as self-centered, immature, and a finger pointer. Not very good energy on the sidelines. I know, I can't remember if it was during the playoffs or during one of the games. A Cardinals player got hurt and he ended up getting carted off. And it was like a bad injury. And they showed everybody, all the Cardinals players on the field, like surrounding him, like consoling, like obviously doing their thing. And Murray was sitting by himself on the bench on their sideline, just sitting there by himself. So that, like, again, don't know the full context of that, but that's obviously not a good look where you have a teammate down, 99% of your team is there, like checking out the situation. You're sitting by yourself on the sidelines. And then this coming out too, as far as the self-centered kind of finger pointer kind of look to him. As far
Also
as
came out at halftime. He sits there and puts his headphones in, sits in his locker, doesn't talk to anybody, or he goes in the other room and calls his girlfriend at halftime.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was also inside news coming out today from inside the organization. And it's like when the organization is releasing this type of stuff about you, they're trying to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're trying to make the point of, are you going to step up, grab your sack, and own up to all the shit that you've not done the best and want to be better? Or is this who you are and we need to get rid of you?
Yeah. I know one thing too, during this whole thing of him not meshing well with teammates, not returning their calls, responding to them, JJ Watt released a video saying he reached out to Kyler a couple times one day and he ignored his calls. So I don't know. Like, it's interesting how it just kind of came out of the blue. There wasn't really any lead up to it. It just all of a sudden a laundry list of this is what he's done since he's come into the league, and nobody really has anything good to say about him at the moment. So
I guess it all started with some like Instagram beef where some Cardinals fans were going after him through like the Cardinals account. And then he deleted his whole Instagram, like wiped all the Cardinals stuff away, like basically made it clean. And everybody knows what that's a sign of. Stephon Diggs was the first one to really wipe it all and then go to the Bills, like kind of uproot everything and say we're starting over. That's kind of what he did online. And obviously that's him making a statement without actually making a statement. And then followed by today, all of the inside rumors that we're hearing coming out from inside the locker room for players on the team, media that covers, like they're clearly far apart, I feel like, on where they need to get to. And like, yeah, he played like shit in the playoff game that they lost. It's like he needs to own that. Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury didn't play good, didn't do a great job as well, but that's a team. You're the quarterback of the team. It's just like, mark my words, I could see him, if this doesn't go out well, I could see him going to the MLB.
yeah, I saw that too, where it's like I saw some meme where it was like get a pre-order on your Oakland A's Murray jersey before they get off the shelves or something.
I have this weird feeling that this is kind of where it's heading, because people like that who are more individualistic do better in baseball. Like that'd be a sport where you'd be able to embrace yourself and get that stardom that you really want. If that's truly if that's truly what the issue is. Well, who knows as far as the paycheck going forward with this whole lockout.
With the lockout still going, yeah.
But yeah. I mean, tough spot. I mean, the kid's a great talent. It's just like I guarantee you there's other NFL teams, if they want to move on from him, that would trade the moon, to try to get him. But also at the same point, like, if it is actually Kyler, the characteristic, like the character of the person, is that worth bringing in him to destruct a whole team? Kind of like AB.
Yeah, no matter where, like,
he's good when he's good, when you can keep him out of but the second that it goes bad, dude, the whole thing's blown up.
Where it almost seems like going to these small market teams where these guys kind of get their heads on straight, like a Detroit, a Cincinnati.
Comes with, I think it starts at the top.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, I'm saying, how he always carried himself, kind of always as that guy. Like, even when I never really liked Cliff Kingsbury, like how he carried himself. Like, I'm the fucking man in college. I'm calling all these plays, putting up all, like, he just carries himself a certain way, and maybe that's rubbed off on Kyler.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But as far as like the AB situation, Pittsburgh, huge sports city. You go to Vegas, I mean, Sin City for a reason. Then you go to Tampa. I mean,
well, then you go to the Patriots and then Tampa.
And Patriots was the shortest stint because they didn't allow his antics to fly for a minute.
Troop the owner and released it.
Yeah, they didn't let that fly for a minute there. And then you go down to Tampa again, warmer weather, party, like younger scene, like it's hard to get. I feel like it was hard for him to get his head on straight because of the destinations he was going to where, I mean, like
New England seems like the only accountable franchise out there. No matter who you are, you're following our rules or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who you are, superstar or not, you're either on our side or you're not in. And that seems like the one organization that has no pushback on that.
Yeah. Well, the other two I'd add to that list too, like Green Bay and Cincinnati, to where guys are like, yeah, there's nothing to really do here. There's not clubs to go to. There's nothing to really get in trouble for.
Well,
They
Cincinnati
keep their
brought
head on.
Vontez Burfict, who's a terrible person. He's got in trouble off the field multiple times.
Yeah, but I'm saying this year, Joe Burrow said it himself. He's like, our guys are good. We keep our heads on straight because there's not really anything to do in Cincinnati.
Well, and with COVID, with COVID, because they can't go
just in
anywhere and do
general
anything.
though, too. Would you rather go in Cincinnati or would you rather go out in Boston, Miami, LA, like Dallas? You know what I mean? Like Cincinnati isn't a sought after city to live in.
But I'm saying it is now.
Well, I mean, to play sports in, I don't know if I'd say live in. Like that in Cleveland. Like Cleveland isn't a very good city. Cincinnati isn't that far away. Just that part of the world, like the country, I feel like isn't like very sought after to live in.
No, it's all mill towns.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, with Kyler, it'll be interesting. I don't know. Obviously, it'd be smart for them to keep him because Colt McCoy, again, he's been one of those guys who's been around for a while, and he's been second string or third string for a reason for X amount of years. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's too far to the point where it's not fixable. Obviously, it's just a matter of a reality check for Kyler. It sounds like to kind of get his head on straight, but like you mentioned, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a great football player. So,
and he's in the last year of his contract.
This year or like next year is
2022. Yep.
Oh. Then it makes sense for them to keep it for one more year to where if it kind of fixes itself, all right, we'll sign you to make you the highest paid quarterback in the league because that seems like the thing to do.
Absolutely, and that's probably another reason why he wants to probably get paid because he's on that league minimum where he's only making base salary. He's making under $1 million, but he gets 5.8 for signing, and then an additional 4.5 for being on the roster. So it's like it would almost be smart to move him at this point before he's on the big contract because you can get any team to take him at this point. You'd be able to move him for the least amount of having to structure.
Yeah. But also for only for less than $1 million of his salary and like with all the incentives and stuff, you're looking at about 10 million.
11.3 is what
11.3.
Yep.
That's pretty cheap. That's a third of
for a superstar quarterback.
That's a third. So that's what I'm saying. Like they keep him because you get rid of him, you're not going to get a quarterback of that caliber unless you're looking to pay 2 or 3 times the amount that he's hitting on the cap this year.
No, you'd be able to get a return. Like any team would be willing to take him. That's what I'm saying. You'd be willing to get whatever you want for these teams that are in cap issues. You'd be able to take him on for really cheap and you'd give away all of your top end players that cost a lot of money.
Yeah. I guess so long as a quarterback is in that return, because like I said,
right.
Colt McCoy doesn't seem like the guy that would step in and get this team back to the playoffs.
And there's plenty of quarterbacks out there, so that it wouldn't surprise me. Like they have the most leverage at this point as far as them having leverage over Kyler. Because once you sign Kyler, he has all the leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what if the dispute happens, he takes a year off, doesn't get paid? I don't think that hurts the Cardinals that much at all because it's only 11 million. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah. As I mentioned from the top, end of the NFL season here. Only really a month away before the 2022-23 season. The calendar officially starts there with free agency and then the draft in April. So a little bit of a lull here for the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we'll still be talking about any news that rises like this, what happens with Kyler. We'll be on top of Rodgers, Aaron Donald, as far as the guys who might be moving around the league, that's going to be kind of our talking points here for the next few weeks until we get closer to free agency, and then we'll be seeing all the moves that happen around the league.
Yeah, because the new season starts officially like March 3rd, is it?
I think 13th, something like that. NFL. September. Oh, that's
March 16th, 4 p.m.
16th. Okay.
Yep. So 3 p.m. our time, March 16th. That's when the actual calendar year starts.
A month and 2 days then is when the official clock starts on the next season. So, yeah, we'll still be covering the NFL. There'll be enough to talk about between now and then. I mean, there's always drama and rumors and somebody fucking up and doing something bad. So, but yeah. Moving over to the ice here, as the NHL continues to heat up as we get closer to playoff time. Starting off in the East here, the Senators upset the Caps 4-1 last night, as Alex Ovechkin has now been held without a goal for 6 straight games, and he now has just 5 goals in his last 15. Also for Washington, they have the most games played in the Metro at 50, and they've been gradually falling back from the top 3 with their losses. I think they're 4-6 in their last 10. Right now, they're still looking like a sure lock for a wild card. Do you think right now, even if they do make it to the playoffs, that they'd end up being a first round exit?
Yeah, if they can't get back healthy, that's really going to be tough for them. With the TJ Oshie out, Vitek Vanecek also out. Those are 2 guys who take up a lot of minutes. Also, their power play finally gotten figured out. I know that's recently come out. John Carlson, the defenseman, basically said that all these teams now know what they're doing at this point on the power play. And their power play, if you don't score on the power play, if you're not over 20% on your power play, like that's the goal. You want to be 20. You want to be over 100% combined between power play and penalty kill percentage. Whatever that is, you want to be over 100% total. So the teams that aren't, that's a huge reason why teams lose, especially teams that are more of a running gun style like the Capitals play. They're not a team that can score 10 goals a night. They play the closer physical type games. So every extra advantage you're not capitalizing on, obviously that's going to hurt you. And without their people, I do see them potentially even missing the playoffs. I know they still have a little bit of a lead right now over the Blue Jackets and Islanders, but both of these teams have room still realistically to catch back up and get in there into the mix. And like I said, I feel like it's all going to come down to how healthy are the Caps night in and night out, because if they keep missing some of their top guys out of the lineup, it's only going to hurt them at this point, as now's the sprint. Like, you're in the sprint to the playoffs at this point now with 30-ish games left, 32 games left. Like, there's no time to waste.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Vanecek is out. So they've been leaning on Samsonov, who does have more games played this season. 15-7-3, so decent win percentage. But I don't know what he was at a couple weeks ago, but kind of looking at his stats now, I know they've been slipping. 2.91 goals allowed per game, which is up. And then his save percentage has gone down to a 90.3, which is kind of that benchmark of if you're above 90%, you're not like you're good. Obviously closer to that 93 to 95, you're kind of in the top of the top in the league. But once you fall below that 90 mark, then that's kind of the all right, we're slipping a little bit in between the posts here. But yeah, Vanacek 91.5, and then the other two goalies 92.4, and then one Copley. He's got 2 games. Didn't even know they had a third goalie in there. 87.8. So obviously he's not going to really see much ice time there, but
Probably their AHL goalie.
yeah. But yeah, Samsonov, Vanacek. I mean, 2 solid goalies, but yeah, when you have to lean on one and he's not doing the hottest right now, and then on the other side, as it started with your top scorer, Ovechkin, he's been kind of cold lately. Yeah, they have enough of a lead right now in the Metro, but then in the East as a whole, they still have some room as well for the other side, for the other wild card. I think they have like a 8 to 10 point lead over there too. So I guess so long as this streak doesn't go too long, they have a chance. But I mean, coming up, they play your Flyers twice, which could be 2 wins for them. That would help. But then aside from that, Leafs, Rangers, Predators, those are going to be tough games. So at least to finish out the month here, they have more tough games than easy games.
They're going to have to do better than what they've done in their last 10, and that's 4-6. They're going to have to do better than that every chunk of 10 games going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then my point for today, Montreal Canadiens, a dumpster fire of a season that they're having, send their top forward over to the Calgary Flames, an up-and-coming team still rising in the Pacific Division, now on a 6-game heater. Do you think he makes an impact in this Calgary Flames lineup as he is more of a skillful player? Think he joins in for their continued success and the Calgary Flames winning the Pacific?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, in the Pacific, tightest division. I mean, only 4. Well, I'll even go farther than that. 9 points separate the top 6 teams, which is crazy. Yeah, Calgary is just a point behind Vegas now with 3 games to make up. So they're definitely prepped to take over, especially with Vegas slipping as of late. Yeah, Calgary 8-2 in their last 10, and the next best is Edmonton, who's 6-3, 6-3-1 in their last 10. So they're the lone hot team in the Pacific, as the rest of the division is kind of stagnant at the moment. And yeah, again, Vegas, once they get healthy, do they go back on a surge? So Calgary definitely making this move is going to help them with games to make up, right on the heels of Vegas. Before Vegas gets healthy and they get rolling, Calgary's definitely going to have to go on a roll here and try to build a lead. And I don't know how often these two teams play each other down the stretch. I know they just played on Wednesday. Last Wednesday, Flames blanked them 6-0. So obviously a good indication for the Flames.
They play each other one time the rest of the year.
One more time. In April, I assume, because I'm not finding it in March.
Yep, April 14th.
Oh, I see that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one game. Shouldn't have a lot of indication. If they played each other a couple times, then it's like, okay, that's 4 points or 6 points swing, depending on. But also, if it's tight coming down the stretch, that one game could make a difference too. So, but yeah, the Flames, great move for them. After kind of before this win streak and before they've been on an upward trend, they were kind of stagnant when they were missing games before the All-Star break, things like that. They kind of hit a little bit of a plateau. But yeah, now they're ramping things up again, and definitely looks like the team that is very well prepped to come out top in the Pacific.
And also, speaking of the Vegas Golden Knights, since we were just mentioning them, Jack Eichel is to make his Golden Knights debut on Wednesday. And as far as what they did cap-wise, because I know that we talked about they're going to have to make room, they moved Mark Stone to long-term injury reserve, as he's looking like he's going to be out the remainder of the season.
So it's kind of a trade. They're not really getting more healthy. They're just trading a guy for another guy.
I think they look like they're in the most trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's it. I mean, like it said, as far as them getting healthy, that's what they had to bank on to make a run to keep the top of the Pacific, and then even come playoff time for them to try to make a run there is to be healthy across the board. And now without Stone, I mean, Eichel, what's he going to be like coming back? It's not guaranteed that he's going to be 100% ready to go, either health wise, or you're jumping into the past the halfway point of an NHL season. Is it going to take him a minute to kind of get caught up to the speed of the game a little bit? Yeah, with Stone being out the rest of the season, then yeah, that's definitely leaving the door wide open for Calgary here.
And Edmonton. They've been working hard. I think they have a chance to potentially squeak back in as well.
Yeah.
Ever since they fired their coach, turning around a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. They won their first game with him, with the new coach, or who stepped in? I don't remember.
I don't know who they hired. I don't remember his name.
But yeah, in the Pacific, as I mentioned, Calgary's 8-2. Edmonton 6-3-1, the next best in the Pacific right now. So, yeah, Anaheim right ahead of them on a 2 losing streak. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. So after the Ducks being hot, they're hitting a bit of a streak, in the downward direction. And Edmonton is 4 games back from the Ducks and just 4 points back. So if they make those up, so long as they're winning those, they could leapfrog Edmonton, and then they're right neck and neck with the Kings, and they're right on the doorstep of Calgary. So yeah, after Edmonton kind of looked dead in the water, that coaching change, as you mentioned, seems like at least short term they turn it around and get a win. So long as they can keep it going, definitely got a shot. And coming up here, I think we talked about it earlier, or talked about it last week. Oilers play the Sharks, Kings, Ducks their next 3 games. So all division games, all opportunities to kind of space themselves from the Sharks and make up ground on the Kings and Ducks. But then, yeah, to end the month, Lightning, Panthers, Hurricanes. So they definitely need to go on a roll here and win 4 of these next 5, because there's a chance they could end the month on a losing streak.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen going forward. But all indications are of that coaching change having a huge spark for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it can only go up. I mean, any kind of change like that, you made that change because you're in a shit spot. Only direction it goes up.
Well, because coaches ultimately are getting fired for the piss poor performance of the players.
Yeah.
So this is a wake up call to the players saying, "Hey, boys, we just got a fucking coach fired because we're playing like shit."
Yeah.
Like, we got to step it up.
But also for the coaches too, it's up to them to put together the lines. And I know we talked about this last week too, as far as for the Oilers, maybe they get more success by putting McDavid and Draisaitl on different lines, kind of break up your scores a little bit. That way you're not banking on 1 or 2 lines to carry your whole game.
But that's the same thing we always talk about with the NFL as well, though. Is like, how much does the actual head coach even do? Is the owner of the team saying these are the lines for tonight?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure the players have a lot of say in that.
Because it's like, I've always wanted to know what that is like team to team, like knowing that actual information, like how much the coach is actually doing. Because benefit of the doubt, the coach is doing everything, all the planning, all the whatever. Like, you're thinking that's, who knows if even that's the case. Like, they could literally just be the puppet standing there and not do a damn thing.
Yeah.
Come on, boys, let's go.
I mean, as far as the skill side of things, the coaches aren't teaching fundamentals or anything like that. So that's out the window. So yeah, you would think that line changes, this guy's out, this guy's getting called up, this guy's getting moved down. Those are kind of his decisions. Like you said, you like to give them the benefit of the doubt and think that's the case. But also, these players who are on the ice with each other day after day, you'd also think that they should have a say in this guy would do better in this line. Oh, we have good chemistry, move him to my line. That you think that they'd have some say in that too. But like you said, it'd be interesting to go by a team by team base because you know it's no two teams are really the same probably as far as how they run things in that way where coaches have more or less power.
And I know for sure, at least from Spit and Chicklets, one of the guests that they've had on who was a NHL head coach, he said that it was very difficult working with the organization and the owner who was in place at the time, because he would come to the rink and there would be the lines already posted. This is what you're running. This is how you're doing it. And all right, if I don't do it this way, I'm going to get fired. So you have to basically just do everything that they tell you to do. Yeah, it's interesting how it works that way. Because like McCarthy, all of the news that I've heard about him is that the only thing that he literally has control over on the team is taking timeouts or the challenge. Everything else is delegated to other people. And it's just like, but he gets all the credit, Mike Gart, like it's just like he doesn't fucking do a damn thing. It's just like it'd be really cool to get inside of these organizations to really know who should get the credit and who shouldn't. Because that's the part of the media side that no one really knows.
No.
So yeah, whatever name they put on it, you're getting the blame or the credit.
Yeah.
Whether you do a damn thing or you do it at all. Yeah. And then you never hear about the owners until they win the championship.
Yeah. Well, even like last night for the Super Bowl, when
Cronky. Yeah.
they hand the Super Bowl to the Lombardi to him first. It's like the owner of the organization like gets for the first touch. It's like 90% of America. Who the fuck is this guy? Give it to McVay. Give it to a player. They did like, but yeah, it's always like you said. It's funny. Nobody knows who the owners are or like.
It's like their moment to fame of like, yeah, wouldn't have been done without me, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks for my money.
Yeah, I write the paychecks to make all this happen. I get to touch the trophy first.
Yep. But yeah, what a wild weekend. Now with NFL being over, like you said, we're in the second half sprint here for the NFL play or the NHL playoffs. Yeah, there's going to be a lot coming up here. I feel like as the trade deadline is now getting closer in the NHL, teams are finding out if they have what it takes, what they do need, a couple pieces here and there. So we'll be posting all the major, updates breaking with the NHL as they're coming around. But thanks everyone for tuning in for today's episode of Offsides. Please come back and join us tomorrow.